If I can quote J. Jonah Jameson and Disney at the same time, bring me the Spider-Man! This is Corey, and this is the O The Anthem podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob. Welcome to episode 281 of the O The Anthem podcast. And I promise you, I'm not a reanimated corpse, as much as it may look like that.
Just having a stroke. It's okay.
Just having a stroke. We are coming to you live from the hashtag OTA LA studios. Hi, by the 110 Freeway in downtown Los Angeles, California. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for listening on your podcatcher of choice. The easiest way, anchor.fm/O The Anthem. You can find the links to literally any podcatcher that most people listen to on that site. Or you can listen on Anchor itself. It's a pretty nice little podcast app if you're new to this thing.
And you can start your own podcast.
Yeah.
And let us know. We'll listen.
Yeah.
Unlike Corey's podcast. Don't listen to that podcast. It's a bunch of rubbish. But you can also find more O The Anthem at O The Anthem on Twitter and Instagram. You're, of course, watching live right now at facebook.com/O The Anthem, where we record live all of our episodes. So you'll be able to watch us there and become part of the show. Just comment in the comment line, and we'll say hello to you. We'll talk about your questions and your comments and make you part of the show. You can, of course, find all the videos at youtube.com/O The Anthem, and everything O The Anthem related, including the store, is at otheanthem.com.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So I think we should get right into it because there's lots of things this week.
So you got a lot of things to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. O's. The O's are in it. Hey, let's just jump into it. It's sports ball. Yeah, it's an exciting time of year. Who's fired up for playoff baseball?
Not the Orioles.
Well, no, they're fired up. They're going to watch it from home, just like the rest of us. So.
Yes, in a story that feels like it could have been said many months ago, the O's have officially been eliminated from playoff contention.
Yeah. And officially only because,
at a certain point, they couldn't lose any more games.
Yeah, it's a statistical elimination. No one's doing super fantastic. But if the Yankees had like a 100-win season again, I feel like it would have been a long time ago. We would have had like an early August elimination. But, everybody's doing good. And our team's going home.
I am going to have to check the standings because I do believe the Yankees
are they having a 100-win season?
Well, not 100-win. I mean, it's too early for that.
Yeah.
But
no, it's not too early. This is when they were on their way to like 109 or whatever, their record-breaking season.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, like they weren't at that at the end of August.
By the way, another thing I love and I hate about L.A., no one here knows when the season is, and I just love that everybody I talk to is like, Dodgers are done, right? Like, it's over.
Yeah, they can God damn, I didn't realize how far back Boston was. New York has 85 wins right now, so they could definitely get to 100.
Oh, so, and there's 30
There's a
games
month left
in
in the season,
yeah.
So even if they went 500 the rest of the way, they would. And currently, the second best record in baseball, or tied for the second best record in baseball. So the Yankees. Orioles, on the other hand, 43-88, a 328 winning percentage, and Detroit is still beating us as far as worst record goes. So,
yes, not the worst.
We have a 4-game set going up against Detroit coming up though soon. I'm very curious to see how bad the baseball being played in that game. We might literally pull people out of the stands to play in this game.
Listen, at this point we're vying
guarantee some losing.
We're vying for draft picks right now because come on, we need to get that number 1 draft pick.
Adley Rutschman's already been brought up another level. So since last week when we talked about his 5-or-5 game or whatever,
put him in. Let's just see what happens. Let him get some major league pitching. I mean,
let the kids play.
Yeah, you know what? I was gonna say major league pitching, but versus the Tigers, I don't know if it's gonna be major league pitching. Something like that.
It's funny. I was Players Weekend was this past weekend, and I remember I hadn't been following like the news of what they were going to be doing this year up until I saw it on Instagram.
Well,
like
we don't have players, so that's the important part of that. You have to have players before you have Players Weekend.
Technically, there's people on the roster. They count those as players.
Oh, okay, fair enough. All right. Yes.
No, but I just I happened to stumble upon the Instagram stories of the Orioles on the weekend of Players Weekend.
Yeah,
and I was just like, oh. These all black jerseys with the white piping, that's not so bad. That looks pretty good for the Orioles. I was just like, I wonder what other teams did. I wonder what other teams' choices were. Everyone was wearing all black. Everyone was wearing all white. It was either all black or all white uniforms.
Was that the thing this year?
Yeah.
Oh.
And, I mean, for some teams, I think an all black look is nice.
White Sox.
Yeah, or the Orioles, like because black is part of our color structure.
Yeah.
But like I feel like if you're the Dodgers and you're wearing all black, it just doesn't have quite the same. And like the Dodgers are playing the Yankees this weekend for Players Weekend. Like if there was ever a weekend that you wanted both teams to be wearing their classic uniforms for their
throwbacks, how about that? I mean,
they don't even have throwbacks. The throwbacks are the regular jerseys. So.
I guess so, right? Well, no, because like, aren't the Dodgers doing some like weird piping thing on the edge of theirs now? That's not exactly the classic one.
No,
I feel like when I was there, they look different.
I mean, they might have been wearing special uniforms for some reason.
For the 115 degrees that it was inside Dodger Stadium?
Yeah,
it could have been that, I guess.
Did you have to hike up the hill?
Yeah. Got off the bus at the wrong spot. Hiked up the hill. Bad decision just from the beginning. So, but baseball is almost to the point where we don't care about it anymore. I mean, the World Series will be here eventually. October is on its way. But the more important thing is NFL football's back. And I'm almost ready to skip past that. I'm almost ready to skip. You know why?
XFL?
XFL is back! By the way, I do love that. I talked to my coworkers about the XFL.
I always like when you talk to your coworkers because it's like looking into the mind of an embryo.
Really, it is. And I was like,
wait, there was another football league at one point?
So, first of all, I said things like, so what do you guys think about this new XFL thing? And I said new XFL thing because those who will remember that there was an old XFL thing.
He hate me.
Mm-hmm. But
they Rod said, Smart, if you want to get Christian about it.
No, didn't he end up playing in the NFL?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like one of two people who actually went on.
There were a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
nobody of like amazing. I think like Charlie Batch was one of the quarterbacks.
Yeah. And he did
LA
play
Galaxy, and then or not LA Galaxy. What was the old LA Extreme? I think.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I said new XFL, and they assumed in their millennial heads that I meant this new league, the XFL. And then I started talking about things like, like the camera on the field being so revolutionary, and like the sky cam where it was like on ropes, and everybody's looking at me like I have fucking three heads, and I'm like, you guys are aware there was a previous XFL, right? And immediately, like, I love and I hate this crew because of this exact reason. They start Googling me, and I'm like, you know what? Fucking Google. Here we go. Because they're Googling, and they're like, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, see? There was a thing. And then one of the guys we just hired realized that he was in kindergarten when the last XFL was out, because it was 2004, I think.
Something like it was a while back.
Yeah, maybe 3. But nonetheless, I was in college, and he was in kindergarten, and he was like, "This is why I don't remember it." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool, yeah." So
cue to the meme of Tim Allen turning into Santa, like they're like, "Oh,
yeah." I was gonna go with the Steve Buscemi, like, "How
Hello,
do you do,
fellow kids?"
Yeah, that's basically how I feel every day at work. But yeah, so I'm like, you don't understand that whenever the NFL gets stagnant, Vince McMahon's like, hey, I've got $300 million to waste on something. Let's start a football league. And I hope he learned some lessons from last time. And it looks like he did, because if I remember, there was actually more teams last time as well. I think there was 12 teams, and they immediately shrunk it down to 8 because they were too ambitious. And he tried to compete in the fall against the NFL.
And they chose places that like specifically didn't have NFL teams.
Yeah.
There was New York and LA and I think Chicago or something.
LA
like
didn't
that.
have football at the time though.
Well, true. Yes, that's very true. But
Orlando.
there was a team in New York or something like that. Mm-hmm. Because I don't think you can have a league without that.
18 million people in the metro. Gotta have
multiple football options.
But yeah, like Orlando was one. Not Chicago.
They had one in Birmingham.
That's right. Yeah. And I feel
like Memphis or something like that. Like all
Houston,
the teams,
maybe. But it was when Houston
all the cities that like were not big enough for NFL franchises, but were big enough for an XFL. And I mean, like in some of those cases, like there was a team in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And it was the first like pro team in Las Vegas, and people went crazy for it because they were so amped to just finally have football in some sort of manner.
we haven't done expansion since then, except to give Cleveland back its team and give Houston back its team. So I got to think that like another thing that the NFL took from the XFL was like, listen, Las Vegas is a town for football. We need to get a team there, and they've been trying to figure out how to get a team there, and they finally did.
Yeah.
And now there's not an XFL team in Vegas, but probably smart on Vince's part because he's like, oh, I'm going to debut a league the same year that they're debuting an NFL team in that same city. That's probably not a smart decision.
Well, they're also taking some time to get this league going, which is a refreshing change of pace, seeing as the first XFL was like planned and launched in a weekend or something.
It's like 6 months, literally 6 months. Also,
because famously there was a 30 for 30 documentary about the XFL, and it was like a month before the season was starting to kick off, and there were no players signed. There was no anything, and all the advertisements were about the cheerleaders.
Yeah. Because
and
the
like
only thing they did have was
how they
the
had
TV.
like cameras in the locker rooms with the cheerleaders and stuff like that, and it's just like, come on, Vince.
The only thing they had was the TV contract. That was done, but
NBC.
no players contracts, no nothing. But if I remember, was that because Donald Trump's thing failed and Vince was like,
that was way before.
Was it?
Yeah, the USFL was in like the late 80s, early 90s. Or
there must have been
that.
another one though that failed right before, and Vince was like, "Here's a spot we can jump in and do this." And then with no planning, just threw it together. And he also said, this isn't about me. It's not about the WWF at that point. This is about, expanding into a new market. And then went out there and did his Vince McMahon shtick at the beginning of the very first game.
Yeah.
And it looks like Vince.
And they had like Jim Ross doing football commentary and stuff like that.
Although, you know what? I don't hate that part of it. That part I'll fucking do.
It's okay. It's fine.
Wait, did you give me your Jim Ross?
Oh my God. The Las Vegas Renegades are winning this game.
That is probably second only to your effeminate New Orleans gentleman in my favorite voices.
Favorite voices I do? I don't know what you're talking about, Robert.
Just gets to me.
Please fetch me a towel. I feel like coming down with a case of the vapors.
Nonetheless, I feel like Vince at the debut press conference was a subdued Vince.
Yeah.
He was Vince McMahon the man, not Vince McMahon the character from the WWE, which is what they should have been.
It's really hard to separate the two. That's part of the problem, is that like people have a trouble seeing Vince outside of what he does in wrestling. So it's tough. Anyway.
But he walked out to the field in that first game with that like...
Yeah, like the boss man swagger. And
basically.
Like,
I'm like, oh, this is not going to go well.
And did the whole like, this is the XFL.
To be fair, they will not be hurting for players, especially with people like Andrew Luck retiring from the NFL to go play in the XFL.
Real quick, I want to get into Andrew Luck.
Okay.
But let me run down the teams real quick.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
And you tell me, just give me a yay or nay.
Okay, on the names, on the cities, what are we doing?
On the names.
Okay.
Because the cities are basically what we got. Mm-hmm. But the names, the names and logos were released this week. So finally, if people feel like there's something to digest with this league.
Yeah.
So, Dallas Renegades, yay or nay?
I mean, I'm fine with the Renegades. I think that's it's the Cowboys light, really. Mm. Yeah.
Houston Roughnecks?
This one I love because, again, Vince is getting very smart. It's the Oilers. Roughnecks are oil men.
And it's literally the Oilers.
It's an Oilers logo that
with
they're
an
using.
H in it, yeah.
It's amazing. But yes, no, I'm in 100%.
LA Wildcats?
LA's a hard town to do a thing, but wildcatting, also an oil reference, by the way, but it's one of the reasons that LA is the city it is because they found oil here.
Yeah.
So is it that? Is it about the actual cats? Is it a mixture of both? Do they just want to be like, probably that? That's probably. I
want to just send them a recording of you doing that.
I'm available every Sunday between February and March, Vince. Just saying.
LA Wildcats, first down. The New York Guardians.
This one. So they wanted something with a G, clearly, because Giants and Guardians or whatever. But like, and I haven't seen the ads.
And Jets.
What's that?
All your G teams, Jets as well.
Yes, as well. Yeah, the famous G Jets. You said that the ad that they ran was about like it had gargoyles as like the Guardians, and I guess that like is kind of what they're going for in the logo there. It's just like, why not be the gargoyles then? Oh, because that's not like scary. Okay, well, let's do something else then. I don't know.
Okay, there's 4 teams left, so let's just run through real quick.
Yeah.
St. Louis Battlehawks.
I don't know what a Battlehawk is, but I'm in. The logo, by the way, it's a sword with wings, and I'm like, yes. All right.
That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
Seattle Dragons.
Okay.
Seems a little lazy.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay Vipers.
I don't know how Vipers are into Tampa Bay. I don't get the connection.
I feel like, Gators would have been better than Vipers for Florida. But there's already a Florida Gator.
Yeah. You want somebody to write for you, Vince? Look at this. Look at it. We're improving the league already. But go ahead.
Anytime I see the name Vipers on a team, I'm just like, all right, you're lazy. That's
I think when I expand and or move my team on Madden to Las Vegas, the first suggestion is always the Vipers. Yeah. I'm like, okay, sure,
like
Vipers.
Just in the generic team name Hall of Fame.
Yep.
And then finally, the DC Defenders.
And again, the DC has this like horrible thing about like the names of their teams aren't great. United, again, that's against Manchester United. I get that part of it. The Nationals.
Well, the United States. That was where that came from. Yeah.
Really? All right. Well, anyway, the Nationals. It's again, DC is like LA. It's hard because everyone who's from there doesn't care about the city, and then everyone else is transplants. So like. To call it, well, one, they said DC instead of Washington because they're playing at the DC United Stadium, and so DC and DC and United and
well, I think
Defenders.
if your team is going to be the Defenders too, then it makes more sense to like Washington Wizards makes more sense than DC Wizards because
True.
you have the alliteration of the W's.
Yeah, but I think that they went with DC first and then found a D word for the team that
maybe
matched. And I don't get like the Defenders. Football, if you're going to be on defense the whole time, not really a great way to like.
Things are not going great with the offense.
No, it's we're just the defenders all the time. So yeah, I mean, but it's more football, and more football is always good. That's my take on the whole thing.
I'm just curious to start seeing. I mean, like the team names are great and everything. It makes you feel like this is actually happening.
I could buy gear. I can get my season tickets already. Well,
I could buy a T-shirt with LA Wildcats on it. I guess if I wanted to.
I can make a plan to drive to fucking Carson for another 4 months a year.
But the thing that is missing, I feel like here, is that we need to know more about like how this is going to be different. And like once the XFL started unveiling like how their rules are going to be different, like no kickoffs, just 2 people running mad dash in the middle of the field trying to get the ball first.
Now I'm not so like dodgeball rules.
Yeah. That was like how they did kickoffs, and then like people were just like, isn't this just going to have 2 really strong pro athletes running at each other at like 20 miles an hour and like colliding in the middle of the field?
Yep. That's the whole point.
It's exactly what happened.
It's rough. Yeah.
But yes, maybe perhaps Andrew Luck decides to join the XFL because he's no longer an NFL player.
I would say I doubt it. And the thing about the Andrew Luck story, yes, he's a young man. He's younger than both of us.
Yeah.
Right? Like I feel like we
only
were
7 years in the league.
Yeah. And Andrew Luck outlasted RG3. Who would have called that after their rookie years?
RG3 still playing?
I mean, RG3 outlasted Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
Which, like, after their rookie years where RG3 went down with that knee injury, right? And they were like, he's never going to play again. And then he came back. But
well, the more surprising one, the one I found interesting was Tom Brady has not only lasted longer than Andrew Luck, but has lasted longer than Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning combined.
Yes. Yeah.
Weird. Amazing though.
Makes me wonder if they're even testing the Patriots for performance enhancers. Right? Like that's either really good genetics or performance
it's a TB12 method, man. You gotta.
Have you seen the pictures of him when he was drafted in the 6th round versus what he looks like now? It looks like the before and after of Captain America. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying it looks like Chris when he's like the little shrimpy guy and then he gets exposed to the Captain America thing. And then he's like, wow, that's Tom Brady before and after his 6th round draft pick.
Yeah.
I'm just saying maybe run a few blood and urine exams. But no, yeah, it's weird. Tom Brady came into the league the year before Peyton Manning.
I think they were the same year.
Same year.
I think it was both 99 or something like that.
Outlasted Peyton, and now has outlasted Peyton's like franchise successor.
Yeah.
But again,
I mean, if we did this with the Ravens, then I guess Joe Flacco did hold down the court for a little while there.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it was a while there where it was just like Ravens have been a franchise for 10 years and have had 19 different quarterbacks.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah. Well, to be fair, we got stuck with the Browns quarterbacks at first. It was like Vinny Testaverde, and you're like, oh, all right, well, and then we're like, who needs a quarterback? We'll win a Super Bowl without one. And they're like, Kyle who? And we won a Super Bowl. So,
Tony Banks.
Just put somebody back there to take the ball. All right, we need to get 4 down so we get the defense back on the field to score some points. 2/3 of the earth is covered by water. What covers the other third?
Ed Reed.
Ed fucking Reed. Anyway, I think the funniest part of this story, though, is that like every NFL player is chiming in, XFL and current NFL players, and they're like, totally get it, Andrew. Good luck. Good luck with the rest of your life, and like enjoy your retirement. And every dude who's too lazy to mow his own lawn and like pays the kid down the block, and he's like, I would, but my sciatica. It's just like, fucking rehab and get back on the field. And I'm like,
yeah. I mean, I'll tell you this. I think that just generally speaking, I'm all for people making their own choices and doing what they want with their life.
Club choices.
So, I mean, like, if you feel like you don't want to be an NFL player anymore, then you should feel free to retire at any point.
Yep.
I'm not Doug Gottlieb here, just like railing on him for not wanting to rehab from these injuries and stuff like that. What I think is where I can understand where the anger of the fans is coming from is when he decided to do it.
Okay.
At the end of last season, he was just like, listen, I've been dealing with a lot of injuries. I got this ankle that I'm dealing with now. It cost me games this year. It's going to require a surgery and a huge process of getting back from. And I've already had a lot of injuries, and I think I'm just going to call it a day now. And then they had the time to do like free agency and the draft and get somebody new and everything like that. I feel like fans of the team would have been more understanding of that. Whereas he came into the season saying like, I can't wait for week 1. I'm ready to do this. I just got to rehab. We're taking it easy on me in the preseason and training camp so I can get healthy and play. Those aren't the things you say if you think if you're like mulling over retirement. I think I as a fan, if I was an Indianapolis Colts fan, which God help me, but I mean like if I was an Indianapolis Colts fan, I would understand why it felt like the rug was pulled from underneath me.
I think though that
it'd be like if Lamar Jackson just retired tomorrow and you're just like, what the fuck? Like we had plans.
I think though that you have to know that he's talking to the organization, right? And he's like, they're probably the ones who are saying, hey, you go out there and you tell them you're fucking ready for week 1.
Yeah.
And even though he's saying, guys, like it's not coming along as like I thought it was. I'm not feeling it. I'm up running, but I am like off season me. I am not season me right now.
Yeah, and again, I totally, everyone should be allowed to make the decisions that they feel is best for them and their family and everything like that. It's just that, like, it'd be like if I got hired to work on set for something and then, like, the day before I was just like, you know what, I don't feel like doing it. I'm not going to show up. Like, it's my right to do that if I want to. And, if I had some sort of, like, oh, I'm going through a medical procedure, I'm not going to be able to do both at the same time. Oh, totally understand. Sorry you're going through this kind of thing. But it's like the timing, which to me, I can understand where the fans are coming from with that. But also, let's not judge too much by stuff of what fans do, because literally fans is short for fanatics.
Yeah, yeah.
And if the example I was making to you before is like, if you're a gun fanatic and I said I want to get rid of the Second Amendment, you would be like, oh, you can't do that shit. I'm invested in the Second Amendment. Those people would not have the reaction you were hoping for when you say, I want to get rid of all the guns.
Yeah.
When you tell a bunch of Colts fans, Andrew Luck is going to retire now, they're like, no.
No, not allowed.
I want him to be 100 years old out there playing. I don't want to give up on Andrew Luck.
Yeah, and I think Justin Fenton put it best. To be a Colts fan and to have, some surprise thing happen in the middle of the night and you find out about it on TV, we have no idea what that's like. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would say that the people who are most upset are not Colts fans, though, Corey.
Fantasy owners.
Fantasy owners. Under the category of why, we don't do our draft in week 1 of the preseason. Check. Andrew Luck retires. Although, again, as you said, hopefully you're not resting your entire fantasy season on Andrew Luck. But like Lamar Miller, like this stuff adds up. You never know who's going to be injured.
It's the same sort of logic that I have when it comes to paying bills. Like, if I have a bill, hold on.
Okay.
This is going to come around. You're going to get where I'm coming from here.
Mm-hmm.
Say I have all the money I need to pay all my bills.
Right. Yeah.
I still wait until the day that they're due to pay them.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Because I don't know if something is going to happen between now and then. If I have, there's some things that I have to pay, and I know I have to, if I don't pay rent, then they can kick us out.
But
if I don't pay a credit card bill, then I get a late charge and I can pay it later, but it's not like it ruined, and I'm not getting kicked out of my house if I don't pay the credit card bill.
But let's say,
the point is if I'm, God damn it, I just lost
it. If you pay everything on the day it's due instead of paying it ahead of time.
Yeah.
You're ready.
Well, yeah, but also, what if tomorrow I am driving somewhere and then all of a sudden my engine blows up.
Right.
And now I need all this money that I just put into my credit card
for
my car repair. Well, yeah, but I can only use it for the amount that I paid on the credit card.
True.
I'm just saying that part of my long-term plan is I want to wait until the last possible minute so I have all options available to me.
Yeah.
Even if I have the money to pay for it, I'm still going to wait because I'd rather just know that if something came up all of a sudden, I wouldn't be hamstrung by the fact that I had paid my credit card bill a month early,
And you may be able to pay 6 months of rent ahead of time, but I don't know that the building's not going to burn down because of somebody else's mistake. Yeah. And I don't want to be holding a bag on but I gave you all the rent. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Sorry about your luck.
Yeah. Whenever we get you back in, you'll be credited for those months afterwards.
Right,
but what am I going to do to live? That's kind of on you until then. But when we get
why
you back,
you chose to pay early.
Yeah. Yeah, it's credited. But I want to go back to your example, which is if you were 2 days from a shoot and you were just like, I just don't really want to do that. But again, what if I told you that there's a risk of you going on that shoot and never walking again?
Yeah.
And it's is it worth it to you to go work when you don't have to?
No, and nobody, that's the thing. Nobody who's not you or aware of the situation is ever going to have the same sort of, Andrew Luck had the muscle torn off of his rib cage. Yeah. He had a lacerated kidney, which made him pee blood for months.
Didn't he play through some of those too?
Yeah.
What do you need, Colts fans?
He had probably 8 concussions or something like that over the course of his career, his 7-year career. To
me, it comes down to the same thing. If I sold a screenplay tomorrow, would I show up at work the very next day? 100%. I would continue to go to work because I know that the writing thing is fleeting. But if at some point in the future I just said, today's my last day. Yeah, we'll never give you a good recommendation to your next employer. I'll be like, okay, call up the head of Rob
NBC
Cheek
Universal.
LLC. Yeah. No, call up Rob Cheek LLC, who is the person I now work for, and let them know that you're not going to do that. But if you're in the position to be able to quit, it's not up to anyone else about whether you quit.
Yeah.
It's I am going to decide that I'm not going to be driven crazy. I'm not going to risk injury. I'm not going to do all of these things when I am in the position to not do that. And it's nobody else. You're right. It's nobody else's call. Yeah. I should be able to make that call, and I'm going to make that call. And I probably won't show up the day after I sell screenplay. And they're going to be like, you're only going to get $90,000, and it's probably only going to be 4 months from now. I'm like, anything to not fucking go to that place again.
Anywho.
Kidding, of course. Anyway, so I think that is that everything you had to talk about?
That's sports ball.
So with the remaining 20 minutes, we only have to cover everything that's happened in the last
topics.
Week. So I want to start out with something I guess we could touch on.
You were the one getting all forlorn about the good old days of the XFL.
I love feeling old, and I hate feeling old. That's why I love working at that place, because I'm just like, you motherfuckers. Now gather around. Let me tell you a story about a place.
Oh, quick.
Yeah.
It's not like sports ball related, but one quick addendum here. Everyone needs to go check out the 30 for 30 podcast series on Donald Sterling because it is chef's kiss amazing. Go to wherever you get your fine podcast, 30 for 30. It's like they dropped all 5 episodes of it all at once.
Isn't it Pod Save America, though?
What?
I thought you said it was Pod Save America.
No, 30 for 30, ESPN.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Well,
go check that out because it's a lot of fun. We talked about Donald Sterling on the first Drinko de Mayo.
Oh, man.
That's how long ago this story happened.
Yeah.
But it's when you get to like hear the tapes and you get to hear like them put together, you know, like the timeline of like interviews and like
What he's saying in public.
what he's saying and like how like the different things that you didn't remember, like about, you know, him getting sued by the federal government for like unfair practices as far as like allowing minorities in housing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like it's all there. It's all wonderful. Definitely go check that out.
P.S. I'm loving that we put a special gel on the light to make me look more alive, and I think I'm looking more dead as the episode goes along. I swear to God, I'm alive. I'm a living human being.
Turning purple.
Yeah. Anyway, so from one really terrible millionaire or billionaire? Yeah, he's a billionaire, right?
Who?
Sterling?
Oh, yeah.
He's a billionaire. From one,
He sold his franchise for $2 billion.
That's true. From one terrible billionaire to another. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Well, one of them. Which one is it that dies? Is it the East that dies in the beginning? Yeah, because the West is who she's still running from. The witch. The witch of the East is the one that gets hit by the house.
Yeah, Gilda. Yeah.
The West is the one that's still alive.
Right.
North and South are good. East and West are bad.
Yeah.
Right. So, the witch of the East is dead. And by that I mean David Koch is dead at 73. After living longer with prostate cancer than any man has ever lived with prostate cancer. Did you know that he was diagnosed in the late 80s with prostate cancer and has been fighting it since the late 80s?
Prostate cancer, though, is one of those ones that, like, if you catch it early, it doesn't...
At no point was he marked cure or in... what's it called when cancer, like, temporarily stops?
Metastasize?
No. When the opposite, when it, like, stops. Fuck. Remission. Never was he in remission and never was he cured. He was fighting it that long. Yeah. Because it did metastasize to other places, even after they removed his prostate. But, like, that's what having billions and billions of dollars is. It's just, like, throw money at it until, here, take this pill. It'll kill you slowly. But
just like when Magic Johnson was just like, oh, he's still alive. Like, it used to be you have HIV and you were dead immediately.
Nope. Just need a lot of money.
Everyone thought that Magic was going to die, like...
Yeah. I love
within weeks when he retired.
That South Park episode where they just like blend the money and drink the money. Yeah, that's basically how it works. My favorite part of this whole thing is that I have to think that deep down in their heart somewhere, Charles and David Koch thought that, you know, the world would celebrate them upon their death, and now Charles knows without question the joy that his death will bring to the rest of the planet.
So what I find interesting, and it's not to say that David Koch isn't responsible for a lot of evil that has been done in our society. He's a horrible fucking
human being.
But David is not as bad as Charles is. Charles is the one who really like leads all the financial or all the political donations and stuff like that. But yeah, it's an interesting day because
if there was a God, it would have been Charles who died, and David would still be here. Just so you know.
Yeah, David would still be making charitable donations to worthy causes, prostate cancer probably.
Yeah, but also, I mean, really horrible politicians as well. I mean, don't sugarcoat it and say that David wasn't also supporting the alt-right and.
No, I mean he certainly was. I'm just saying that it's.
Charles is the one who is the deep believer in the philosophy in like Reaganomics.
Charles is the George W. Bush to David's Jeb.
See, I would have gone the other way. I would have gone with because I think Jeb is more knowledgeable, and George was just like, "Hey, you're running for president, dumbass." And they're
but okay. I mean, like George W. was more detrimental as president than Jeb probably would have been under similar circumstances. You know, like true. They're both not worthy of being president. But if you were going to say which one would cause less trouble if they were elected, it would be Jeb as opposed to George.
Especially Nancy gets up there and shouts at him, and next thing you know, he's just like in his Back in the Oval Office, like, I don't know why she's so mad at me.
Please clap. Bringing back that old chestnut.
I don't know. Oh, man. Just the sadness and desperation. We've all been there, right, guys? Anyway, so David Cook is dead, and my only sadness in this. Can you take a guess, Corey, what I might be sad about? You know me really well. Why would I be sad that David Cook had died from prostate cancer?
That it wasn't guillotines?
Wasn't guillotines. He and his prostate have robbed us of the chance to march him up and have a meeting with Madame Guillotine. But we still got his brother, and I'm sure he's got other family.
I'm sure there's other deserving people.
Sons and daughters and grandsons and people who are benefiting from that fortune that we can march right on up there in his place.
Well, truer words feel like they've never been spoken. He will be missed.
Yes. On the day of judgment, I will sit and say, I wish David Cook was here. Or maybe we'll just dig him up and
guillotine him again.
Guillotine his head just for shits and giggles. I
feel like there's going to be a lot of people that you're going to
just dig up and guillotine and or maybe just like build a dummy and just be like in effigy.
A voodoo doll.
It's just we're sending a message here. When our turn comes, we will not apologize for our terror.
Anywho,
so speaking of other terrifying things, Trump has somebody running against him in the primary.
Yeah,
and you would think, hey, that'd be good news, right? Except for it's Joe Walsh. Possibly the only other Republican who terrifies me as much as Donald Trump being president is Joe Walsh, and now he's running for president as well.
I am not a fan of Joe Walsh.
Yeah.
I will say this though, if him running is enough to get people to vote for to make him the Republican nominee over Trump, I feel like that's a victory.
I also think
because I also think that if he was the Republican nominee, he's going to get smashed by 18 of the candidates running for the Democratic nomination.
I'm wondering,
and therefore, we would that would be the easiest way to The problem with Trump is that he's, despite being awful, he's still popular enough within his base that he can just re-win, or you can win a re-election without too much trouble. And that I know a lot of people talk about Trump like, oh man, I can't wait until 2020 when we kick him out. That is a huge fucking uphill battle. Don't think that you're just going to be able to get rid of Trump like that, because it's going to be really tough.
Listen, people were trying to get rid of Wayne Gilchrist Democrats were trying to get rid of Wayne Gilchrist for a long time. It took a challenger to his right to get rid of him. That's how they finally got rid of him. And again, I don't think that everyone who's betting that Trump will be out in 2020 understands that 58% of the votes reside in 41 or 42% of the districts.
Only that. I mean, in the past week, this could have been brought up in the Baltimore corner, but I'll just drop it right here. There were people who the fucking spy plane came back last week. Did you hear about this?
Oh yeah.
People talking about well, maybe we were too quick to judge that spy plane. No, fuckers!
Y'all are dumb.
Y'all dumb. This is not how you do. Number one, it costs a lot of money. Number two, even though rich people said they were willing to pay for it, you should always be worried when rich people say that they're just going to pay for something out of hand.
Unless it's guillotines.
Then. Well, yeah, I mean, if Charles Koch said that he was willing to buy Baltimore a fountain, I'd be really fucking worried about that fountain.
Where are you going to build it? I don't know, West Baltimore? No.
No, thank you.
No, we don't want your fucking fountain.
Yeah. Something is wrong with the fountain.
It'll have drinking water in it too. All right, no, okay.
And not only that, but I mean, there's people actually making the argument of well, maybe we should, maybe it's all right. I'd have nothing to hide. Maybe I don't mind if the plane tracks where I'm going all the time. It's just motherfucker, it's step one. That's how they get you comfortable with the, oh, I can connect with my grandmother on this website called Facebook.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to all the horrible things that happened because you gave up that kind of rights. So please please, for the love of God, everyone listen to the sound of my voice. The spy plane is an awful idea. We should shoot it out of the sky.
In fact, I mean, I think somebody wrote a book or a screenplay where that's
happening.
Part of the thing, right? Shooting spy things out of the sky. Anyway, back to the primary.
Yeah.
I think the best news about this is, one, that Trump will have to spend money on a primary. I think the other side of that is this may open the door. If Trump doesn't respond to having a primary opponent, it may mean that some other wackadoos jump in. And by wackadoos, I don't necessarily mean like
Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz. No, I was thinking of podcaster, crazy right-wing podcaster, QAnon and frogs are making their frogs. Alex Jones. Or otherwise known as the dead comedian
Bill Hicks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bill Hicks I'm not talking about him jumping in the race. I mean, like, there may be people on the right of Trump who are like, you know what? He hasn't done anything he promised. Where's the wall? Where are the millions of bodies piled up and burning in the furnace? Wait, no. Okay, I said the quiet part out loud.
Where's my pile of dead Mexicans?
Yes, basically, yeah. So somebody may jump out, and the only way that he wins, really, is to keep his base. And if he loses part of his base to some crazier fucking right-wing person, then that is one way he could be beaten. Well, I don't think Joe Walsh is that guy. He's more moderate, but...
Well, he's a Tea Party guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, he is, to the right end of this. But the problem is that he's sort of he's found himself a shtick being the anti-Trump Republican. Because he was one of those, like, for the first part of Trump. I mean, there were people who were always against Trump.
Yeah.
But there were people more in the beginning who were like, we got to give him a shot. We got to give him a chance. We got to let him do his thing. And then Walsh turned on him, where other Republicans were just like, oh, I think that we are nobody in the Senate or the House is criticizing Trump. Like,
by the way, I just like to just sidebar there for
the Republican Senate or House.
Let's sidebar for just a second.
Yeah.
People who said, let's give him a chance. Where's your line? Because just this week, meeting with the Danish prime minister that got canceled because they wouldn't consider selling Greenland to America. The expressed desire verbally to members of the administration to drop nuclear weapons in a hurricane to keep them from striking the United States.
Yeah, that's how that works.
Telling the G7...
Just seems like good regular person logic to me.
Sure, yeah. Big storm, drop a bomb in it, make it go boom. No more storm, right? That's how that works.
It's like some bizarro Armageddon fantasy.
By the way, I'm wondering what the line... That might
Can
actually...
we get Bruce Willis to drive this nuke?
Surprisingly, the nuke might actually work to destroy the hurricane because it will break up the wind pattern. But
just destroy the world.
Also just poison everything where that hurricane is with nuclear radiation.
God, wouldn't it have been funny if somebody had a follow-up question for Trump at that moment? It's like, well, I mean, at the end of the day, it would have only been Puerto Rico. Who the fuck cares?
Yep. I'm not in the business. I'm not in the business of investing in foreign countries. Okay. I asked the question about Puerto Rico.
We have questions.
Then you said foreign country. Right. That island? Yeah. Not part of us.
It's owned by Cuba, right?
You're making a lot of people on an island very happy right now, sir. Thank you. But no, so Greenland, nuking hurricanes, telling the G7 to let Russia back in, but not a puppet of Russia at all, Corey. I know you're thinking that.
Not a puppet.
Thinking that, but that's not what he is.
No.
They definitely don't have a tape of him being peed on by several women in several different hotels.
Or the complete... this whole China thing is fucking insane.
Yes.
Here's the problem. Most people, if I were to tell you about trade negotiations with other countries, it's such a dense fucking topic that you can't talk about it in a way that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Because if you're talking about one issue that the United States has with China and has for a long time is the blatant use of copyrighted material and how China has no respect for U.S. copyright law.
Yep.
So part of the reason why you hear about Chinese knockoffs is because China will just make the same exact thing as another company, call it Nikkei instead of Nike, and then put it out in the market and sell it for 1/10 the cost,
which inevitably makes its way here and then gets sold on the market here, and
then you're wearing your checkmark shoes, and you're just like, hey, see my Nikkeis?
It's a hot new Chinese brand. Yeah.
Roberto
is gonna send us an Instagram
I got some
post.
Jordans.
Listen, Roberto will send us an Instagram post about it, and he's clout chasing about the hottest new thing, and then it's like, and the phone connects to the shoes, and like, it's technologically, and then we have to sit through that. So inevitably, it comes down to us.
But yeah, Trump is acting like negotiating with China is like negotiating with a vendor.
Yeah,
I'm buying drywall from you, and I'm gonna do this like good cop, bad cop routine.
Got a lot of
but
places
only
like
me doing it.
A lot of places I can get drywall, buddy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard, but
listen, you're not the only global power out there. I can get all my goods from a lot of other places too. But the problem is that now he's so far in that the only hope is that China just gives up and bails him out of this problem that he's in.
Yeah, which they won't.
Because like every single fucking thing he does is just causing more trouble. Like, he had a tweet this weekend where he urged U.S. companies to stop investing in China.
Didn't urge, ordered.
Oh yeah,
U.S.
I hereby demand or something like that in the tweet.
Apparently forgot he wasn't a king and couldn't just
hell yeah.
I mean, and it's just like either he is slowly slipping into dementia. He's already there, which is where my vote is.
Yeah.
Or it's just, you ever think that he's just sitting around the Oval Office like, what can I do today? What do you think? Hey, what if I just tweet out, ordering people not to be in China? That'd be crazy, right? I'm doing it. Like, if it was your drunk friend from college, the 70-year-old version of him who doesn't drink.
The thing that fascinates me most about this whole situation is that there are still people who are just like, he knows what he's doing. I'm just like, no, he doesn't. Like, what? It'd be like if you handed your toddler like gas and matches, and you're just like, he knows better. Honestly, he knows if he lights it on fire, he's gonna go boom. It's like, no, he doesn't. Like, what evidence have you seen that proves that he knows what this? Like,
these are the people who think that Mr. Bean is a documentary, and it's just like, this guy, just everything works out for him. I don't know how he does it, but no matter how he tries to screw it up, it always works out. Like, yeah, it's not really that. There's no script, and Roland Atkinson is an actor, and he's not really, mute, and he doesn't, do these things.
Also, The Apprentice was an edited television show with writers. Like I get, and not even like.
Oh, by the way, the base for Trump, Jewish writers, I bet. Just saying.
You ever hear like somebody who's like really smart talk about some sort of topic, and they get into like the little tiny bits of it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I listen to myself all the time. Yeah.
No, but I'm saying like you'll hear somebody like talk about like how trade works. And they'll start eventually they have to get into like the deeper parts, the deeper cuts of what they're talking about. And they're just like, well, what you have to realize is that if you're dealing with China in negotiation over copyright, then they're going to be coming back with these 3 issues that they want you to come back at. And
lumber and steel.
Yeah, if you give to them on lumber and steel, then you're negatively impacting your ability to get the price that you want from these 5 countries and the combined efforts of these 5 countries. And like, they'll build this web of how one decision can impact the entire global economy. And like, when you hear somebody talk about it, you also have to realize that a lot of it is theory, and a lot of it is like, I don't know for sure if this is how it would work, but I would imagine that if China gave up copyright protection, blah, 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 blah.
That's because we've never had a president who just tweets out without a super ego blocking his ability to make things happen. He's just like all id. It's just like thought occurs out the mouth to the hands and tweet it. And honestly, it's a good test for a lot of theory where people are just like, what would happen if a crazy person took over the White House? Well, not a thought experiment anymore. Now we have it. What would happen if a crazy person drove Rob across town? Pretty scary fucking Uber ride.
Mm-hmm.
And that's no longer a thought experiment either. And I don't know what's more terrifying, him in the White House or the Uber ride I took earlier today. So, but yeah, again, a very extended sidebar. It's just, how are you still defending that this is somehow okay? And not that Joe Walsh is a good competitor, but he's a competitor. And sometimes it's just about bleeding during the primary to just weaken him enough. Maybe he says something to try and come to the moderate side of things that alienates the base just enough to get him to stay home. And then maybe we can swing the election and get somebody else elected. And there's a lot of people to choose from right now. It's a lot. Also, if I can encourage people, Democrats over the age of 50, stay home at the primary. I'm just saying, stay home at the primary. I've never before seen the Biden where he's got 60 or like 25 points, 30 points of 50 and above, and then 6 points in the fucking 50 and below. Just insane difference. Sorry, Corey, you're looking something up. What do you got there?
Oh, we were going to be getting into our conversation about the polls on the Democratic side.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to pull this story up so I could be able to quote it directly.
So speaking of all the contenders on the Democratic side, thank God Joe Biden, in a series of gaffes that just, again, people who are having a stroke, like a stroke in slow motion or slipping into senility, like, I can't have any other explanation other than, like, you are too old to be running for president. But not knowing what state he was in, confusing Vermont for New Hampshire, like being
thinking
overtly
he was
racist,
vice president when Parkland happened,
which he wasn't. That didn't happen. I mean, you're basically, he's Trump. He's Democratic Trump at this point.
Yeah,
and it was cute until you were our last best hope.
Here's the one that really hit me in the maybe Biden is losing it kind of thing. He was talking about income inequality. He said, and specifically in regards to education, and the quote is, "Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids." Then quickly added, "Wealthy kids, black kids, Asian kids." So
yeah. Also with a gaggle after the week that he had, he assured everyone that he was not going crazy, and I'm like, that's one of those things, like when someone asks you, when did you stop beating your wife? Like, if you have to put something out there about like, no, guys, don't worry, I'm not going crazy, I think maybe you've already lost. And the Monmouth poll would agree that perhaps he's on his way to that.
Down 13 points.
In a week and a half or 10 days, however.
There are only 3 candidates who are over 13 points total.
And you lost.
And you
13.
lost that.
Yeah.
Like,
and gave up 11 to 2 of them.
Yeah, I mean,
Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren pick up 6 and 5 apiece.
I just don't get it. I never understood why Biden had to be, like christened as the next coming here. I mean, it just doesn't.
He knows this is his last chance because the country is taking a shift, and the Sanderses, the Warrens, the AOCs, the Pete Buttigieg's, Beto's, that's where the country's going.
Yeah.
And he knows he is either going to be the transition and basically like pick one of these guys to be his VP and then do 1 term, maybe do 2 terms and pass it off to the next person, or he's out. There's going to be no more creepy Uncle Joe type presidents. It's either going to be a crazy Republican when we swing that way, or a crazy Democrat when we're going to swing that way. That middle of the road neocon or neo-dem Clinton Democrat is dead, and
I would argue he's the last one.
Yeah,
he's the last vestige
vestige
of that. Yeah.
So he knows it's now or never, and I think he saw the wind blowing that way and was like, "Well, I better put my name in," and didn't give a half of a thought to like, should I? Just can I? And he's like, "Yeah, sure, I can get the money together. I got a bunch of people who give me money. I can run for president." Yeah, but should you run for president? That's the question.
You know, the thing is, a lot of times, people who've had things come easy to them think that they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
So it's like when say you're the best basketball player in the state, Like in high school, you were like one of the best basketball players in the state of Maryland. You go to college and you're one of the best basketball players in college. And then you go to the NFL or go to the NBA thinking, I'm just going to walk in here and I'm going to be the best player in the NBA because I've never not been the best player. And then you get there and you realize that you're surrounded by all the other best players who lived in all the other different states who are the best players in college and stuff like that. And then you realize you're marketably average compared to them.
Did you...
There's a part of you where you've had 20 years of I'm the best, nobody can touch me, to all of a sudden I got to compete. And there's things like Joe will have these gaffes and think like, oh, I can get past them because I've always gotten past this sort of stuff. But it's not the same as...
By the way, hasn't really gotten past it. Failed presidential campaigns in 4 decades. Well, 3 decades, coming up on the 4th one, hopefully.
I mean... His position as vice president was picked because Obama was so inexperienced.
Yep.
Like they said, we need to have somebody who's been in this game for a long time to make people think that there's a steady hand at the wheel here in case Obama decides to do something a little millennial.
And who else was on that list? Do you remember that conversation from back in like 07, 08?
I mean, I know Hillary was bandied about, but they weren't going to do it.
Right. Kennedy was on the list. But, I mean, these are people like literally Hillary was like, everyone hates her. We cannot run her with our guy. And also, they beat each other up pretty good in the primary.
Yeah.
Not a good fit. We'll bring her in the admin. Don't worry about it. All right, Kennedy. Yeah, the Chappaquiddick thing. Still, I don't think we're past it yet. He killed a girl. And then, by the way, I listened to a podcast. I don't think he killed the girl. I don't think he killed her. Based on this true crime-ish
I don't think
podcast
he killed her. I don't think he was
in the car. I think he fucked her and then realized he was too drunk and then let her drive home and she was too drunk and he then wrecked his car. And then when she didn't make it home, he was like, oh, shit. And he came up with a story.
I don't think that's true.
Oh, man, you got to listen to this. The evidence is like really strong in the favor of that story.
I don't think there was anyone denying that he was in the car, though.
There is a police officer who saw him standing outside the car on the road just before the turn.
Yeah.
Saw her in the car, in the driver's seat, and him standing outside the passenger seat. Anyway, not important. We're not going to do that. I'm just saying, Chappaquiddick.
He was there.
He was there.
He was there when... the accident that happened, he was there at that point.
There is no evidence to support
There's no
that.
evidence to support that he was or wasn't there.
Yes.
But I'm saying that it to me, from my learned opinion of this situation, I can't imagine that he wasn't there. Seeing as he was there minutes before it happened in the same car.
Sam, that's not anyway, not important. My whole point is they didn't put him on the ticket because one, he was super old, but also
be like all of a sudden like Corey's at I just saw Corey post something on Instagram that he's at Staples Center, and then something weird just happened at Staples Center. It's just like, well, I don't think Corey could be involved. He's not there anymore. It's like, I just saw a picture of him. I just saw him post something on Instagram saying he was there.
I'm just saying they went in pretty in depth, and they did a pretty good job. So Ted Kennedy wasn't going to be the guy, and when you're starting to talk about old heads, the list gets short. Hillary, Joe,
well, I mean,
Ted Kennedy.
What they really wanted was they wanted somebody who had a lot of experience, but people didn't have set opinions on.
Right.
That's the Ted Kennedy and Hillary came with a lot of opinions.
Yes.
So
Joe Biden is like, okay, everybody knows he's creepy, but they all kind of like him.
Nobody
had
Delaware. Made up their mind on Joe Biden when he was named as vice president.
He always fell out of those presidential
Everybody
races.
made up their mind about Hillary Clinton and Ted Kennedy.
He always dropped out of those presidential races before everybody got to make up their mind about him.
Yeah.
And then he waited a decade or so until everybody forgot about him. And they're like, who's this Joe guy? I don't know. Let's find out. Nope, he's out. Okay. Nonetheless, yeah. So now I think really it got to the point where this is his last hurrah.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm going to do it. And not whether he should do it or not. And thank God, everyone except for those over 50 are waking up. He's tied with Buttigieg. I think I said Booker earlier, but I think he's tied with Buttigieg now. Or
Booker's
Beto.
at like 1%. So
Yeah, so he's tied with Buttigieg or Beto right now. Andrew Yang has a lead on him in Democratic voters under 40. And I think at some point you just got to wrap it. I get that you got everybody over 50, but you got to wrap it when Andrew Yang is beating you, I think.
you know, we make a lot of fun of Andrew Yang on this podcast.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so.
He's polling so fucking well.
Well, no, but I mean, like, sometimes this happens in elections where people will all of a sudden get, with Bernie last time.
Yeah.
Bernie, going into the election, had no fucking shot of winning.
Nope.
He was a speed bump on the way to Hillary winning the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then he captured the imagination of mostly young people.
Well, he captured the imagination of people who fucking hate Hillary.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying
someone else stay in this race.
Oh,
please.
I know, but I'm saying like the reason why he was so popular, or like why he came out of nowhere last year, was because he was able to find a very devoted, loyal fan base who would support him.
Yeah.
And Andrew Yang, even though it's not the same level as Bernie in 2016. Has been able to do the same in some sort of way, has built a very passionate fan base of people who think that he's the one who knows how to do this. And it's just, I don't know.
He's not.
Yeah.
Stupid millennials. Stop it. He's not. He's not the one.
Yeah. Because you're going to, by the way, just anyone who doesn't understand how universal basic income works, especially with his plan that comes with like an excise tax that counteracts it.
Yeah.
If you are making less than, I don't know, just a random number, $80,000 a year, you're probably going to end up spending more per month than you would make in the money that you would get just in additional taxes, especially if you live in a place like, Los Angeles or New York or places where Democrats live. Like,
now it does work out well for people in like rural Idaho
or Delaware,
yeah,
tax-free state
where prices are low, there's no extra taxes, and cost of living's low.
Your 8.5% excise tax doesn't hurt so bad when you're used to paying 0.
Yeah,
when you're used to paying 8.5%, that additional 8.5% makes items awfully expensive.
Jesus Christ. Yes. Yeah. Anyway, so you have the list pulled up.
Yeah.
Go through it.
So New Monmouth poll. I'm just going to go down the list with the number real quick. Sanders 20, Warren 20, Biden 19, Harris 8, Booker 4, Buttigieg 4, Yang 3, Castro 2, O'Rourke 2, and Williamson 2, which surprised me too.
Yeah.
Again,
and that's all voters.
A loyal fan base for Marianne Williamson, which I don't quite understand.
Listen, there's a lot of essential oils websites that are still up and running. People are buying it. So
so here's the thing: Sanders and Warren both got a nice little bump.
Yep,
+6, +5 to their numbers. Biden falling 13 points.
Yeah,
to fall to 19 is incredible. Booker +2, Buttigieg -1. Yang +1, Castro +2, O'Rourke -1, which I'm surprised about. I thought he sort of captured imagination a little bit more with the shooting. And
see, I think people just want him to go home to Texas, go home and run for Senate, because I think the other candidates are doing a good job of being like, hey, when I leave my Senate seat, I know that there's going to be another Democrat right behind me. Like, both Warren and Sanders can say that. But Beto is saying, I'm not going to run against a very
also, neither one of them have to worry about losing their Senate seat.
Oh, that's also true. Yeah.
I mean, if they don't win the presidency, they're still senators. Yeah. They don't have to give that up.
But if they do give it up, they have Democratic governors who are going to appoint Democrats. And
I mean, like that's why the people who've dropped out have done so, because they realize that they have to run for re-election if they're not going to be president. And if you're John Hickenlooper, it's better to be a senator than it is to be nothing. Like, you know, like,
I think the competition in that race has been basically like, hey, there's a really beatable senator in Texas.
Yeah.
Why is Beto not going home and beating this very beatable senator and making it 50-50?
See, I don't think Cornyn is as beatable as people think he is. Because, I mean, like, he's... you know, if Beto couldn't beat Cruz, who...
Beto was nobody when that race began.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying, like, Cruz would have been the person to take out. Because even Republicans don't like Ted Cruz. So, I mean, like...
Human beings don't like Ted Cruz.
If I was him, I would have just every single day when I was on the campaign trail, I would have worn like my Ted Cruz's Zodiac Killer T-shirt, and just like when people are just like, "Hey, Betos, what's with the shirt?" and he's like, "What shirt?" and just keep walking, never talk.
That's why we're not in politics, folks. Really good, writing the yucks and the drama, but not so much with the politics.
It's like when you see like Taylor Swift like at the Grove or something like that. She's just wearing like a "Fuck John" T-shirt.
Yeah,
and you're just like, "Hey Taylor, what's that shirt about?" It's just like, what shirt?
What shirt? Sorry.
And then it's a week worth of stories on Extra where it's just like, Taylor Swift slamming John Mayer.
By the way, if you want to hear more of that voice, make sure you check out The Anthem on YouTube. Heretics, episode 4.
Yeah.
My
TMZ guy.
Yeah, is it Aquaman? Yeah, it's Aquaman, but it's I can't remember the name of the episode. It's been a long time. We should do more of those.
It was
maybe like an
the Scientology one. Yeah. I'm sorry, not Scientology. What was I thinking about? Aquaman.
Aquaman. Yes.
Church of Aquaman.
Church of Aquaman. We should do more of those, including a prequel where we explain the rules of the universe to everyone. Yes. Anyway, there's a couple. There's really one important story I want to get to. So
yeah, let's rapid fire through these real quick.
Flash through the two that are least important. Insulin jumped. Insulin in the United States is now the 6th most expensive liquid in the world, behind 2 types of liquor. Horseshoe crab blood. Did you know that, by the way?
No. If I knew it was valuable, I would have picked up all these horseshoe crabs that I saw in the ocean.
So it goes bad very quickly, and they use it in medical research. Stuff You Should Know did an episode on it, and it blew my mind because I'm like, I've thrown back maybe 1,000 horseshoe crabs into the ocean. I would have just fucking vampired them and taken the soul. Anyway, not important. So horseshoe crab blood.
Suck the blood straight out.
But no, so like horseshoe crab blood, a couple of different kinds of liquor.
Like Christopher Reeve with the fetuses in that episode of South Park.
And then like Dior perfume is also expensive. Gas not on the list. Insulin more expensive than gas by the gallon.
Yeah. By the way, just as a thing, if you buy like Coke, that's more expensive by the gallon than gas is.
Also true, yes.
Just as a thing.
Yeah.
Because you pay $2 for a 2 liter of it right now.
Yeah.
And
how many liters is in a gallon? It's like 4.3 liters.
I can't remember offhand. But it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot more than gas. Trust me.
People don't think about it.
Yeah.
Because we don't do the metrics so well. We're still on the
because you also
English.
do that thing where it's just like it's only $2.
Yeah, but well, and I guess depending on where you are, gas may be a lot cheaper than Coke.
Yeah, but you gotta buy it in. Nobody's buying 1 gallon of gasoline unless they're like, I gotta get home. Like,
to be fair, neither of us is buying 1 liter of Coke either.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, depends. All right. Also, more citizens were detained this week. In the last couple weeks, and we've talked about this before, but basically. People in the southern United States are carrying birth certificates, social security cards, passports, just on them at all times, which makes me think of what was another country where citizens who were maybe looked like people that weren't liked had to bring their papers everywhere. What country was that? It's escaping me.
Are you thinking about Germany?
I'm thinking about Germany. Yeah. In the interwar periods. Yeah. So basically, if you
but this isn't even new in the United States because in Arizona for a while they had the bill where the police could just take anyone they thought might not be American.
Yep.
Which just meant Latino people.
Yeah. If you look Latino.
Yeah. And a lot of people were expected to just carry all their papers with them in case something went wrong, where they could say like, no, here's my birth certificate.
Yeah, except for now, ICE is still detaining them for weeks on end, even though like I can prove I am a citizen. Here are my 9 documents, and like,
here's
back to the cell for a little while.
Here's the problem at the end of it all. There's no punishment for the people who are responsible for making the decisions which cause these things.
Yeah.
Fucking governor of Michigan, Snyder, during the whole Flint thing.
Oh, yeah.
I was just like, you know how you get people to stop doing that sort of shit? Threaten to lock him up.
Make him drink Flint water.
Well, no, not even that. Just lock. If at the end of his term, if he knew that there was a chance that he might be brought up on charges of, murder. I mean, kids died. People died because of the actions that in a part he took in. He had a part to play in. So, if he thought that he was going to have to face some sort of punishment for doing those things, then he wouldn't do it. Much like if Trump knew that he was going to be charged on thousands of cases or thousands of charges of kidnapping or something like that for how things are going at the border, then he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't. Why would you put yourself at risk like that? You know, like it's just like in California, it's legal to buy recreational marijuana, so nobody ever cares anymore about getting caught with it. You know, like it's just like you can smoke a joint in the street. Nobody really gives a fuck anymore.
Honestly,
if you think that you might get in trouble for it, then that's where you have this seedy black market. And you have to like talk to some guy in his basement for 20 minutes, and then like go to a in the middle of the woods to smoke a joint just so you can stay off the grid. Like this is. It's different when you think there's punishment involved. When you don't think there's punishment involved, you're a lot more casual about the rules.
That's all very important. And I don't want to discount it, but I do want to get to the most important story of the week. Detaining American citizens, very important. But the most important story of this week, Popeyes brought out a new chicken sandwich. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but it is insane. And I can't say that I've had one myself because I'm not willing to stand for a fucking hour and a half at a Popeyes.
If I was going to wait that long for chicken, it would be a Howlin' Ray's, not Popeyes.
Yeah, I wouldn't even stand at Howlin' Ray's. I mean, I might send an intern, but I certainly wouldn't do it myself. So, it's all like Chick-fil-A versus Howlin' Ray or versus Popeyes chicken sandwich. And yeah, honestly, the memes have made it all worth it. Apparently Popeyes got what was the number that you threw out? It's like $100 million with a free advertisement.
You know what?
On Twitter.
I don't think that this is free advertising, by the way.
You don't think so? You think that they're boosting? Posts?
I think that somebody at Popeyes. I don't have anything to prove this. This is just theory at the moment. So, this might be completely unfounded theory, or this might just be me realizing the genius of others out there. But I mean,
well, thank you. Yeah.
What was the movie that came out not too long ago? Oh, Bird Box.
Yeah.
Bird Box became very popular on Netflix because Netflix was going out there and posting memes about Bird Box.
Yep.
They had people who were just constantly flooding the zone with Bird Box memes.
Yep.
And when people would see a meme about Bird Box, they'd be like,
what the fuck?
Oh, what is this thing?
Yeah,
maybe I should watch it.
Yeah.
And then it became one of the most popular things that Netflix ever put out. And it's not unusual. I mean, this is the same exact fucking playbook that Russia used in the election, which is like, hey, let's just pay for a lot of social media engagement and make people think that a lot of people are talking about this. Because if Popeyes just had a press release saying we have a new chicken sandwich,
nobody would care.
I mean, maybe they would get some people, they would get more business than usual of people coming in and buying the chicken sandwich to check it out. But the fact that there are so many memes out there, even before the fucking thing got out in the market, is making me think that there's bigger forces at play here. And I don't want to sound like some weird lunatic like Alex Jones, but there's bigger forces at play here because clearly somebody has figured out some sort of way to hack the conversation about this, and that's all that. Any of these things, like when Studio 54 was the big fucking deal.
Yeah.
It was because everyone was talking about oh, you're nobody if you're not at Studio 54. And then everyone fucking stood outside waiting to get in because they thought it was going to change their lives once they walked in the door.
And then it's just a fucking disco.
Just a fucking chicken sandwich.
I do think that there are bigger things afoot here, by the way. I think that this comes down to the number one rule by which
Illuminati?
No, the number one rule by which I live my life. Okay, the number two rule. Number one rule is guillotine solve everything. The number two rule by which I live my life is that people are garbage and the internet will show you this. And that is absolutely true. Literally, they're all just fucking sheep. And you're right. They probably boosted a couple of memes, and then people were like, I can do better than that and make a better meme. And now the memes blow up, and then people are like, hey, a bunch of memes. Let me go get a fucking sandwich.
I bet you we could... And not even with a ton of money. I mean, more money than we have available to us at the moment.
Yeah.
But I mean, not even without a ton of money, we could probably make this podcast one of the most listened to things in the country. Just if we came up with the right series of things that went
to be fair, what kind of audience do you want to reach out to? Because we could corner a market if we started using some started talking a little differently about detaining Mexicans.
Welcome to Porn Talk.
No, not. Well, hello there, friends. Hello there, brothers.
Welcome
I'm not even gonna.
Welcome to Porn Talk. Rob, tell me about the most recent porns you watched.
See, you went.
Tell me about them in detail.
This is how you know that we are very different people.
Go away,
I say that we're going to find an audience that really listens and is politically motivated. You go to porn, which clearly people are not motivated, and I say that, welcome, brothers.
Everyone listens to our podcast in incognito mode.
I say, welcome, brothers, and I raise my eyes to point out that my skin is lily white. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, that's the crowd we get. I mean, we would be the most listened to podcast in the country.
See,
Featured on Stormfront. And
what was
on,
what was the God? Oh, it was Jeffrey Epstein prior to being locked up.
a suicide victim? Okay, yeah, sure.
Prior to the actual charges against him.
Mm-hmm.
There was a story that came out about how he hired a PR agency to try and get ahead of his image.
Yeah.
Going down the toilet, and like they would release press releases and like write articles and then send them to people, and they would post them on sites under their byline.
Yeah, as if it
so
was
like
them. Yeah.
he, somebody in his PR team would send a written article about how great Jeffrey Epstein was to somebody they knew at Forbes, and then Forbes writer would post that with their name and their byline.
No edits or very few edits.
Yeah, and then you could go online and type in Jeffrey Epstein, and one of the first things that would come up would be Forbes, and you'd be like, oh, well, Forbes is a reputable organization. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's the same thing that could be done here. It's the same logic with the chicken sandwich. If we sent out a bunch of things to reporters and paid them a little money to post it on, like, reputable sites where it's just like, the most dangerous podcast in America. Listen to what they say about all these topics and how it changes the conversation and stuff like that. You know, like those types of things would get people like just tuning in to like hear the thing they read in Forbes was talking about.
To be fair,
you know?
We'd also have to pay people to say like things that we said which are not controversial are controversial.
Yeah.
Like, can you believe Corey came out on a limb and said we shouldn't be detaining people at the border?
Other podcasts are talking about us. It's like, can you believe that Corey said that Ted Kennedy should be held responsible for what happened to Chappaquiddick?
Clearly, he hasn't looked into all the facts. There's a lot of facts that show he wasn't even there. And he wasn't even there when she died. Which, by the way, there are a lot of facts.
He wasn't there when he died because he left. He fled.
Yeah, she probably was in a air bubble in the back for a while. Also, that's part of the things that you gotta do research. Anyway, not important. I don't want to get into this is not Chappaquiddick talk. My point is, if I could disguise
next week on the Chappaquiddick corner,
if I could disguise my voice,
where you get the straight murder.
If I could disguise, that's the Baltimore corner. Wait, what do you? There's been one murder in the history of Chappaquiddick. It turns into where we get straight murder. Oh Lord!
Meanwhile, the town that gets 300 of them a year.
It wasn't a murder. At best, it was a voluntary manslaughter. I mean, he just walked away in the indifference at best. Anyway, my point is,
him standing on the bridge, looking at the cars, thinking, like, I think she'll be all right, and just walking away.
I wish there was something I could do.
Unfortunately, I don't know any people in positions of power that could help me in this situation. Oh, well.
And by the way, walked past a police station, a fire station, and 7 houses on the way to the hotel. Anyway,
where he continued drinking.
This is not Chappaquiddick Corner. My point is, if I could disguise my voice and my face, not even my face, because nobody knows who the fuck I am. I just don't want it to come around later when I actually maybe do something good with my life. I could pull off a fucking Alex Jones podcast. I mean, I can get crazy.
I think about
that.
I think about that shit sometimes. I think about I'm about to I get nominated for an Oscar or something like that, and then like the next day I get a call from some reporter. It's just like, hey, this is Julie Chen from the New York Times. I'd like to ask you a question about something you said on the podcast. And I'm like, oh fuck, I have no idea what this could possibly be. Go ahead. Don't be racist. Don't be racist.
Does the term socially acceptable racism mean anything to you? Oh, I mean, listen, we're creatures of our time.
I'd love it. They go like, so, you had a lot of things to say about Ted Kennedy and Chappaquiddick. I'm like, whoo!
Okay. Oh, we can stand. Well, I'll die on that hill. That's fine.
I'll die on this hill. That's fine. It's okay.
No, it turns out it's your defense of not Roman Polanski. Who's the other pervert?
Woody Allen.
Woody Allen. It's your defense of Woody Allen that takes you down. And listen, he would have won the Oscar except for all the Woody Allen talk and support over the years. Meanwhile, guess who's in the lilies? This guy.
I read a review, by the way.
Only defends Roman Polanski. And
last sidebar, and then we'll
Yes.
wrap this up. I read a review of Rainy Day in New York. I think on Variety or something like that.
By the way, every time I read that title, I'm just like, that's a fucking Corey Baker movie. Who the fuck calls her a movie Rainy Day in New York? God damn it. I'm going to have to go see it just because I know you're going to be like, come on, man. It's like basically my movie.
I'm not saying that this movie is good because I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no clue. But the way that the review was written with that same, like, you could just feel the person like typing and going like, well, actually, what Woody doesn't understand about the situation.
Yeah.
And I was just like, all right, I see the person writing it like when I'm reading the review, and then I'm just like, oh.
I can actually see the movie myself. It's two people sitting on a bench discussing a rainy day, and it's just soliloquies at each other. Soliloquies at each other.
One of them's older and dating somebody significantly younger,
Yep,
and yet
and,
we're trying to figure out whether or not this ties to some real life situation somehow.
Yeah. But we have a two shot, and it's the two of them sitting on a bench.
Sure.
And then a couple of one shots over the shoulder, one shot, back to the two. And it's 2.5 hours of people soliloquying at each other. And then I'm like, wow, it's like Corey did write this. I don't...
There must be some... It's almost like Woody Allen knows some 50-year-old guy who's dating young girls, because he seems to have a lot of things to say about this topic.
Is he also acting in this one?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he's acted in anything for a while. He did that Amazon series that I think he was in.
Wasn't it autobiographical too?
No, it was just weird.
Was it photobiographical?
No, I didn't actually watch it. I haven't seen... What's the last Woody movie I actually saw? Probably Cafe Society.
Annie Hall. It's the last one I saw.
Wow.
It's been a while.
Before you were even born.
Been a while.
Anywho, if you want to talk about the most controversial website on the internet, you know where you go?
Where's that?
OTheAnthem.com. Corey to OTheAnthem.com. O The Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the listener line 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
443-219-7595.
That's O The Anthem front. Yeah.
You can find more of me at my website, CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com, at LegendCB5 on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and Facebook.com/CoreyBakerFilm. The Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark review, which apparently is...
Do not support this.
Which apparently is causing a lot of problems in my life. It's out there, so you can watch that because people don't get it. And this week, there will be a review of Hobbs and Shaw. Fast and the Furious present Hobbs and Shaw.
Not gonna make it any better.
Don't tune in. Feel free if you're on the fence as to whether or not you should see Hobbs and Shaw. Feel free to come to me for me to set you straight. But that will be a entertaining review if nothing else. So I would say check that out on Thursday when it drops.
And of course, every episode of Corey Baker Reviews as a Pretentious Asshole is available in podcast format. You want to go to anchor.fm/Corey Baker Film.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I'm still looking forward to your competing podcast.
Yeah. And so this is the important thing. It's all about putting creative juice out into the universe. And the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark review has pushed me now to the point where I must respond in kind. So I believe that I am going to, this week, be making my own review, a new series of videos on my YouTube channel, which I'm going to affectionately call the Everyman Movie Reviews. And it's reviews for people who aren't pretentious and don't think that every movie needs to be nominated for a fucking Oscar. Sometimes it's just about a cool book you read when you were 12 or didn't read, in the case of some people.
There's a lot of things that I like perfectly fine and I'm not pretentious about. I'm just saying it's not a very good movie. It's not a good movie.
What was that Velvet Thread movie that you really loved last year? Phantom Thread.
Phantom Thread, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
That was pretentious. But I enjoyed it still. I mean, like...
Exactly. Anyway,
just because I enjoy pretentious things doesn't mean I'm necessarily pretentious.
I'll let you guys judge for yourself. Anyway, you can find more of me at Robert N. Cheek on all your social networks. Make sure you check out robertncheek.com where you can find links to my political blog, my YouTube page, new content coming, Everyman video review or movie reviews. We are working on Rob Explain Everything episodes. I think the plan right now, by the way, Corey, and I'm just going to bring you in here real quick. I think Halloween is going to be my rollout date. I think episode 1 is going to be on Halloween. We'll follow up with episode 2, which will be the original plan of November the 5th. And then we'll have some episodes out from there. I've learned I can't shoot these by myself because what I need is someone to be there with me and be like, hey, you sound like you're...
Shut up!
Yeah, basically. Like, cut it short. Let's cut that out, whatever. So we're going to have to find some time to shoot them together.
I do have ideas, though. I after we wrap, I will tell you about the idea I have.
100%. So Everyman movie reviews and more Rob Explains Everything will be available at my YouTube channel. You can find me, Robert N. Cheek. Big surprise on YouTube. And, of course, you can also find links to my Amazon page and the books which are available on Amazon.
Byro's books.
Thank you, sir. Including the most recent books. And coming up in just a few weeks, second edition of Foe will be available as soon as my friends...
I have it in my print queue. I've been waiting. I've been waiting for literally a day to go print things.
I was hearing this thing about how, I'm going to have so much more time. I'm going to be not working and have time to do things. And then a movie set immediately.
Yeah. Well, now I don't have anything. Now I'm now I'm finally free.
Yes, now I'm free.
Just when you think you're free and they pull you back in.
But I mean, we gotta listen. There's a lot of exciting stuff that we're working on. I got the Foe thing coming. I'm working on another book I'm trying to finish. We figured out how to hack the blacklist. So I'm gonna be putting scripts up on the blacklist. I'd like to shoot some shit. We have a fucking kids show. I probably shouldn't put it that way. We have a wonderful children's program that I'd like to get shot. We got Rob Explains Everything. We got Everyman movie reviews. We got Corey's filmmaker pretentious ass review podcast nonsense. We have so many things. Hero Ticks. I'd love to do more Hero Ticks.
Yeah.
Every time it comes up on my time hop, I'm like, fuck. And we haven't made anything in a long time.
Yeah, we need to get on that.
We got like other podcasts. We got other ideas. I'm going to get on Anchor. I'm going to go get myself a damn USB mic and just start like making podcasts left and right. Like, hey, this is a random thing from my head to yours. It's a Bill Burr does it, right? I can do it. It's fine. We'll do it. There's a lot of stuff. It's all coming. Stay tuned.
Well, I think we've done good here today. And not at all over.
I'm literally not.
Over time.
Okay, guys, listen. I'm not crazy. I'm not losing my mind. I'm not slipping into insanity. I'm just promising you that. We've done something. I don't know if it's good.
I'm not crazy. I'm not insane. But seriously, look into the Bilderberg group. I'm doing that.
It is an underlying theme of the book that's coming out in December. So
all right,
with that as you may. Just saying. Which will be part of a series. And I think it'll be a very good series.
But thank you for listening.
Thank you. As always, you're listening to the O The Anthem podcast, part of the O The Anthem digital network. For Corey, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody. Really went off the rails there at the end.
A couple times.
Really went off the rails. It's the end of a very long day.
Not just the once. I woke up like 10 minutes before we started recording.
Yeah. I woke up 14 hours and then worked 12 of them. So what are you going to... Listen, you tune in every week. This is what you get sometimes. I don't know what to tell you. Have a good week, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye.